Well, hello there. I'm Christina from Christina's Fabrics, and today we're going to do an easy drawstring bag, just like the one that I have here. Two-tone bag, solid color on the bottom, print, solid color on the top. We've got a bit of bling on the sides, D-ring over here. And the instructions and the supplies required will be listed down below. Okay, so for this project, what you're going to need is contrasting fabric, which is the bottom of the bag. You're going to need two pieces, 14 by 6, and that's the bottom, as you can see here. Okay, so it's this part here. You're going to need two of them, and you'll also need two of the main fabric, which is this one here. Okay, so you'll need two of those, 14 by 8 inches. And you'll also need two medium interfacing, 14 by 8 inches, and you'll also need the interfacing for the contrasting. You'll need 2 times 14 by 6 inches, and you'll also need a liner. And in this bag, our liner is going to be yellow, so it'll be 14 by 14. And you'll also need drawstring for the top of the bag. So you'll need two of these, which will be 14 by 2.5 inches times 2. And if you're going to put the bling on the side of the bag, you will also need another strip at 14 inches by 2.5 inches. But this is optional. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but if you do, that's what you're going to need. And for the drawstring, I've used cording, and these are 40 inches long times 2. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take your pieces, okay, your contrasting fabric and your main fabric, and you're going to need to go to the iron, and you're going to need to iron onto the back of your fabric the interfacing. So make sure when you do the interfacing that you do face down to the table. Okay, that's the front of my fabric, and that is the back of my fabric. It looks a little bit faded, that's how I know. Okay, so the good part goes face down, and the interfacing, the rough side, goes face down. And now you'll take that to the iron. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. I've ironed the interfacing onto the back of both pieces, all 4 pieces actually. So this is what it's going to look like. That's the front. That's the bottom part of your bag. That's the top part, interfacing on the back. So now what you're going to do is interfacing straight down to the table. This interfacing on top so that it's right sides together. Going to line it up with the top, just like that. And you can pin it or clip across the top, whatever you want to do. And then you're going to take it to the sewing machine, okay? And then you're going to sew right straight across, and you're going to join the 2 pieces. Okay, so that when you're done, it's going to look like that. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that to save a little bit of time. Okay, so when you're done, this is what it's going to look like, okay? So there's the exterior of your bag, the bottom and the top part. And there's your seam on the back. Now what I've done is I've sewn the seam towards the dark, okay, so towards there. Or if you prefer, you can open this up, open the seam right up, and you can push it out with your finger, and then you can iron it flat if you want. Okay, it's totally up to you. So now you're going to take your 2 strips, 14 by 2.5, and you're going to fold each end in once, and then you're going to fold it in again on both sides. And then you're going to take it to the sewing machine, and you're going to sew right straight across, and that'll hold it down. Okay, so that I've already done as well, and this is what it's going to look like when you're done. See that white? I've sewn it in white so you can see. Okay, so you've sewn it right across on both ends. Now you're going to fold it in half, just like that, and then you're going to take it to the iron and you're going to iron a crease that marks the halfway mark. Okay, then we'll just put those aside because these are going to be the drawstrings for the top of your bag. Now if you're going to put the bling on your bag on the sides, you're going to take that final piece, 14 by 2.5, and you're going to fold it in half. Okay, you see that? You're going to fold it in half, and then you're going to take it and you're going to fold the sides into the center mark. Okay, both sides into the center mark, and then you're going to take it to the iron and you're going to iron that down to put a crease in it and to keep it flat like that. Then you're going to fold it in half one more time, and you're going to take it to the sewing machine and you're going to sew about 1/8 of an inch down each side. Okay, so I'm just going to go do that. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so you just sew down both sides, and then you're going to take your little piece of bling, your D-ring, put it on the end of that, and then you're going to just fold it over about an inch. You're going to fold it over far enough so that you can get it under the sewing needle and you'll be able to sew it straight across. I'd run over it 2-3 times, and then right there at the end you're going to cut it off so that you have 2 separate pieces. Okay, so we've done that, and this is what it's going to look like. Okay, there you go. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to do first before we start to sew the bag together, is we're going to cut out these corners to make a box to bottom. So to do that, I'm doing it at 2 inches. Okay, so I'm going to mark a 2-inch square on the 2 bottom corners. Okay, so make sure you do it on your contrasting fabric and not your printed fabric. Okay, so we'll do that to all 4 corners of your main bag, and we will also do the same to your liner. Okay, so let's go do that. I'll do one more here on camera for you. Okay, so just going to mark 2 inches. If you just have a straight ruler, you can just go like, like that and like that, and bring it across to meet. Do one more. These rulers are really, really good though. So if you can get your hands on one, you should try to get it. Okay, so these ones are done. I'm going to go ahead and do the liners. Okay, maybe I'll do one before we go, and then you'll actually be able to see on this one the markings. Okay, so I'm going to go here, just like that. I'm a little worried about doing this on top of each other because, so there you go. Okay, so you're just going to do that to all of your corners. So now we're just going to cut the corners out. These ones here are stuck together pretty good, so I'm just going to cut both pieces out at the same time. You can do the same thing too if you're confident that it's going to work out properly. Doesn't, I mean, you don't have to be perfect anyway. Okay, so I'm cutting these out 2 at a time. Here we go. This is just going to give you a nice boxed corners. Very nice, yeah. Okay, so this is what it should look like when you're done. Okay, just have those pieces cut out of the bottom. And now we're going to do the front of your bag. This one here might be a little more difficult to do 2 at a time, but I'm going to try. Oh yeah, we're good. And for my fabric, you know, you can just use cotton if you want to. But this part, the exterior part of mine, the printed part, is actually a batik. And then this part here is a cotton. So, you know, it's up to you whether you want to go all cotton or you want to do a batik and a cotton, or whatever your choice is. Okay, so now we're done. We're done that part. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go right sides. Remember, this is the wrong side. It's got the interfacing on it. Okay, so right side to right side. And you can just pin it or clip it, whatever you choose to do. Then you'll take it to the sewing machine, and then you're going to sew all the way around, okay? So you're going to sew right down here to here, and then you're going to stop right there, okay? You're going to stop at your corners, and you do the same on the other side. Stop at the corner, and then you're going to sew along the bottom of the bag, okay? And you'll do the same thing with your liner, except for with your liner, you're going to leave a bit of an opening in the bottom. So I'm going to mark probably about, maybe about 4 inches. Okay, so if you just mark it, you'll remember not to sew through there. Leave that open because we'll have to pull the bag through. I almost forgot. Anybody that wants to put the bling in the side of their bag, you have to put it in now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get this all lined up. You got to line these. See this crease here and this crease? Make sure that you get those 2 lines together and then clip them in there. That way it'll keep your bag straight, and when you sew it, the seams will be lined up on the front. Okay, so let's get that in there. Maybe put the bling, where do we put it there? Put the bling in the bottom part. So this part here goes inside. Okay, so a little bit will stick out the side here on the bottom. Can you see that? I hope you can see that. Okay, and then I'm going to close that up with a clip, and when I sew over it, I'm gonna back stitch on it, so that we make sure we get both. We get it stuck in there and it's good and secure. Okay, so I think here we're going to put we'll put this one here. We're going to fold it in half like that. And we're going to stick it in here. Okay, so just like that. And you're going to have a little bit of this here stick out. And close it up. Okay, so that little bit is sticking out, and then just pin it. Okay, you're going to sew over that, you're going to back stitch over that as well. Okay, so now let's carry on. Let's get this all done, and then we'll be back to the sew up. Okay. Try to make sure you get it lined up well. Not like I did, but nothing has to be perfect, you know. Nothing is perfect, actually. Okay, so I gotta go to the sewing machine, and I'm gonna sew this down the sides that I showed you. Okay, so down here and across the bottom. Do not sew in these squares. Now, depending on how big of a piece you have hanging out here from your bling, just gonna trim it off a little bit. This one's okay. I don't really need to trim that one at all, but I'm gonna push this back. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put it all together. Take these strings out of here. Okay, so to get our drawstrings handy, because they're going to be going on shortly. So what we're going to do now is we're going to open the main bag, and the corners that we cut out, we're going to line these seams up, this seam here, and the bottom seam. We're going to line these two together. And you see that? And we're just going to do that. Bring them together. And then we'll put a clip in there. And that'll just keep the seams together. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so you're going to pull that apart, just like that. Okay. You're going to flatten these seams with your thumb or your finger. Both seams, the top and the bottom one, or the side and the bottom one. There you go. Now you're going to take that seam and you're going to line it up with that seam. Okay, so there we go. All lined up. I'm going to put a clip on it. See that kind of coming apart a little bit there. Make sure I sew down far enough to catch that, I guess. So we're going to go there, and we're going to do the same on the liner. Okay, so we're going to pull it like this, line up the seams. There's the seam, there's the bottom seam. We're going to bring them together just like that. These ones won't matter so much because they're inside. What you can do, if you find that it might be easier, is to turn your seams in opposite directions. So turn that one that way and that one that way. Okay, so this one here is to the left and the bottom one is to the right. And if you can just kind of butt them together, you can feel that they're connected. Or you can open them up like I did on the other side, or on the main side. But like I said, the liner doesn't matter. I mean, it's not going to be seen, so don't need to fuss too much with it. Okay, and do the same thing over here. Cut this big string off here first. Okay. So make sure you have your seams going the same way right across. Sometimes it's easier just to put a pin in there, but I like the clips. So then what you're going to do now is you're going to take it to the sewing machine and you're going to sew 1/4 of an inch right across, right below that. Okay, so about 1/4 of an inch right across on all 4 sides. 2 liners and the 2 exterior. Okay, so when you begin, you got to back stitch to keep those corners in. Okay, you don't want them coming undone. Back stitch the beginning and the end. Go right off of the end so that you're sure to get the entire side. So there's one. Here's the other one. Just going to start back a bit. All right. Okay, let's cut these here strings off. That's good. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing to the exterior. Get it in there. I'll take that one out. Hopefully. Okay. See? 1/4 inch. One more to go. And we can put this together. Make sure you back stitch. Keep your bag together for a really long time. Okay. That's it. I'll turn those off. Okay, I'm back. So I cut myself yesterday and I took the bandage off today because I thought it was okay, but apparently it's not. So I had to bandage it back up again. It's okay, it's no problem. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn this bag right side out. Okay? This is the front of it. We're going to make sure those corners look good. Bring it in. Just take your hand, push them into the corner. Okay, there you go. It's one corner. Looks pretty good. Same with this one. The other side. Do the same thing there. There you go. Looks pretty good, hey? Now we're going to leave this bag just the way it is, okay? And we're going to fit this one inside of there. First, we're going to put these drawstrings on. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold it in half, okay? The raw edges go to the raw edges, okay? Just like that. So you can start from the seam. And you're just going to fit it right across. Put about 3 or 4 clips in there. Keep it all nice and flat. Okay. Okay, so it's right sides together. Okay, so you're going to do that to the other side as well. Okay, all these strings. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like when you're done pinning both sides on. Okay, so you folded it in half where you ironed it, put the crease in it. Okay, and now you need sorry, I had the wrong one there. It was an unfinished one. Use the finished one. I'm just going to fit it on here again. You can see that some of the seams here. And make sure that when we sew around the top, we catch it all. Okay, so we're going to go. This is your drawstring. So we're going to take all these raw edges here after it's folded in half, and we're going to fit it around to the top of the bag and just clip it in place. Doesn't matter that there's a gap here either. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fit this inside of this bag, keeping right sides together. So therefore we do not turn this one right side out. It stays inside out so that when this goes inside, everything is right sides together. Okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to fit this bag inside of here so that everything lines up, the seams. Get the seams onto the sides here. Yep, there we go. And then what we can just do is just move the clips from the drawstring onto all 3 pieces, just like that, okay? So you're just going to take that there, and you're just going to slip it over top of that one. So now you've got them all in place. Well, that one slipped down though. Okay, so them all. There we go. A few more to go. And then we're going to sew this bag together. And then we're going to put the drawstring in, and that's it. One more. And I'm going to... This one here is actually not exactly together, is it? Sorry, I talk to myself sometimes. Okay, I'm just gonna do that right there. That's really coming apart there. I don't really like that. So I'm just going to go to the machine and sew that in, because the very edge of it is, the threads have come out of it, so I want to sew it in. I want to make sure that that's in there nice and secure. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're ready. I got that seam sewed up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to remove this from the sewing machine so that we can fit this bag around it. We're going to fit it underneath, and we're going to put it underneath the needle, foot down, and we're going to sew all the way around. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to back stitch at the beginning. And I'm also going to do it at the end. Going to be careful your clips don't get caught underneath, and make sure that the bulk part of your bag is not in the way and you're not sewing it all together. I like to back stitch on the seams, but that's just me, because I don't want them breaking open. Take these off one at a time. This is a job that you need both hands. Nope, sometimes it slips out. Push her back down. Okay. The second seam, just going to back stitch. What I do is I line it up with I line up the side of the foot with the edge of the fabric. That's 1/4 inch. Okay, so now we are done. Alright, so what we're going to do now, I'm just going to clean some of this up. A little bit here. Okay, now this is where the hole in the bottom of the bag comes in handy. Okay, so you're going to stick your hand in there, in that hole that we left open. We're going to grab our bag and we're going to pull until it's all through. Okay, and then the liner will stick down inside of the bag. So even if you have to just squish it all up and pull, just be careful when you're doing it. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to, we'll sew that at the end. What you can do there is I'll just show you now, because I will not likely keep the camera on to do this. What you're going to do is you're going to fit that in there like that. You can iron it, okay, to form a nice seam for you. Keep it flat, and you can either do a ladder stitch and close it up so it's invisible, or you can just take the sewing machine and just put it through and sew the hole up. Whatever you want to do, you can do. Okay, so let's put the liner back inside. Fit it into the corners. Oh, nice. Okay. So now, what I do want to do is I want to do a top stitch. Right on, you can see the seam here from the inside. So I'm going to iron that all in. Can't edit that last part out. I apologize for that. Okay, so here we go. I've ironed it down. Okay, so that it's at least down far enough that I'll be able to put a top stitch in the top of it without sewing the inside where it shouldn't be sewed. Okay, so you're going to go in about an eighth of an inch all the way around. So here I go. I don't know if you can see this, but I hope you can. Just take your time doing this, okay? This will just give your bag a little more of a professional look. And when you get to the seams, you might have to fuss with them a little bit, because it's a big hump there. There we go. Didn't give me too much of a problem this time. Okay. Another one. There's the other seam, so just I have to push it through a little bit, but just about to the end here, folks. That's it. Okay, so you can pull that out. Going to cut these strings off. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Okay. Now we're going to take our cord here. Just going to move all of this stuff back out of the way now. Take our cord, and I'm going to get a paper clip. Not a paper clip, sorry, a safety pin. Paper clip wouldn't do it. I'm going to stick it in the bottom of the cord, just like that. Then I'm going to fit it through the drawstring holder here. You just keep pushing it through. You're going to go right around to the other side. After you do a few of these, you kind of get the hang of it. Okay, so now we're going to go into the other side. It's really a pretty good project to make. It's really not too complicated. Just take your time with it, even if it takes you a bit of time to do it, doesn't matter. The end result is pretty nice. Okay, so I'm going to pull that through now. I'm going to line these two up so that they're even. Your cord, if you're able to, you should try to match them to your bag. If all else fails, usually a black or a white will go okay. So now I just wrap that around 2 fingers. Take this, put it through that little loop, and pull it out. And usually it goes into a knot. We'll try that again. Go that way, pull it through, stick it through the hole, and then pull. There we go. Okay, then we're going to pull. Now we're going to put the other drawstring through the other end. Oh, I already had one out. I thought I did. Got buried in all my stuff here. Okay, so now we're going to go through the opposite end of this. Okay, so your drawstring, hopefully you made it big enough that you can fit 2 cords through. Well, some people only want one, so it's a matter of preference, I guess. You could also, make your own drawstring if you're crafty like that. You can take out one of the colors from your bag and actually make your own drawstring. Fit it through like this. That would look really nice too. Okay, fit it through the other side, just about. We are just about done. Get it? Okay. So if something happens that I lose you before we get this done, you're just going to bring it through here, the opposite end where the other one is, and you're going to tie it just like we did the first one. The second one is a little bit tighter to get through, but this takes a little more time, that's all. Just about there though. But I never know what's going to happen here. The camera might shut down on me, because it's famous for that. Okay, perfect. We got it through. So now we're going to do the same thing. Take that safety pin off. Okay, wrap it around 2 fingers. Take those 2 strings, put it through that hole, and then just pull. And there you go. Okay, so now you have yourself a pretty nice little bag. There you go. Okay, so if you enjoyed this little video, give it a thumbs up.